All right. Are you a corporate woman leader who struggles with staying stuck or not sure how to get to your next level of leadership? Or maybe you feel challenged because you're hitched to the hamster wheel in that never-ending cycle of the to-do list. You feel like no matter what, you cannot break free. And I've surveyed dozens of corporate women leaders across the board who I've worked with, who are my clients at Fortune 100 companies like Facebook and Google and Microsoft and Amazon and Accenture, and all of them report their number one challenge is to feel more confident and feeling valued and seen while staying out of overwhelm, right? Not feeling like they're freaking out about their workload. That's part of it too. And that depletes our confidence. Who feels like that? I know it's a big one. So I've identified the three key things, the three secrets, I like to call them, that every woman leader needs to know to step out of what I love to call overwhelmed manager mode. OM. Go ahead and type that into the chat. OM, OMM, like overwhelmed manager mode. To start to be the influential leader that you are, because you were born to shine. So what are these three secrets? So the first one, I think, is about how raising your emotional intelligence helps you increase your own worth, your own value. Knowing your self-worth and matching this with how you show up in your career or really anywhere else in any area of your life is a big, big part of what can be different and how to be more influential. So how do you raise your emotional intelligence? Well, we become more self-aware. When we're able to be aware of how we're feeling, we are enabling ourselves to be in relationship with others in the moment and do something different. To pause and say, is this really serving me? I feel some fear right now. Let me take a breath. I actually want to respond to this person and say what's on my mind versus being silent and shut down. Okay. We have another secret too, to go through the roof 10 times, 10 extra productivity. So you have increased quality time with your loved ones, with your friends in the family that you want to surround yourself with, right? When you raise your awareness, your emotional intelligence, you're able to know what's worth your time, prioritizing what matters to you because you're aware of how you feel about it. Right? And you're not driven by that fear and that line of anxiousness that might be really the driving force now so that you have to keep doing those to-dos. Yeah. Okay, so we've got increasing your worth, knowing your self-worth can go up in value, and that means and translates to making more money and also others valuing you more. So you are seen and heard, right? Going back to that challenge that might be there. When you increase your emotional intelligence, your productivity increases, your quality time increases, because now you're creating boundaries that make sense for you. You're busting through old beliefs that you might have not even known were there that kept you away from doing what you really love to do or being who you really love to be with. Okay, so those are the two things. The third thing I think that really matters to be an influential leader is to harness more energy, which to me translates to, instead of feeling drained, managing all these feelings like, oh, I got to look good for these people, or I got to put on this face for this person. I just ended a conversation with a client before this time, and we were talking about how much energy it takes to drain, that can be draining when we're managing our emotions or trying to manage other people, that just doesn't feel aligned. It's not congruent with what we really want. So if we are able to harness our own life force, I think of this as energy, your energy that you put out in the world every day, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, whether it's emotional or spiritual, those 4 quadrants are yours to drive and own. And when you're able to be aware of what you need in the moment or how you feel and regulate that, right? Then your energy can be directed and channeled and funneled into a direction that is helpful for you and actually amplifies your energy. It doesn't drain it anymore. How would you like that to happen? What would it be like if instead of feeling that meh or that complacency potentially, all of a sudden your aliveness is right there harnessed for you to move in ways that drive you forward as an influencer, as a leader, as a confident, valued, seen, and heard woman leader that you are. I think all of those things are so important. On the topic of feminine leadership too, I think I get this question a lot. What does it mean to be a feminine leader? I know that I was asked this question recently, and my Facebook group is called Feminine Leadership Tools for Successful Leaders. I think this ties in really well to our topic as well today, to master your EQ, because what I consider feminine leadership tools, anyone can use. You could be a man, you could be a woman, you could be binary, it could be anybody. But the feminine values of these tools, I think, are on the spectrum of what we would call and consider more feminine aspects of leadership. Things like silence, the power of silence, right? When you're in a room, holding the silence without interrupting, because that's maybe your anxiousness driving the conversation, right? Allowing yourself to sit back and be silent. Creation is a feminine value, right? You could call that anything. It could be creativity. It could be allowing brainstorming. It's an opportunity to harvest and harness the creativity, the creative juices that anyone has, right? There's the community aspect of feminine leadership. So how do you bring people together? I think of the masculine alternate of this as like authority and telling someone what to do, right? Because that's a more masculine trait. Doesn't mean the guys do it more than the women. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's more of the spectrum. And I've heard other terms instead of feminine, masculine, might be alpha, beta, right? Like, don't get too caught up in those names. So the feminine tools are really under indexed in our culture, in our corporate culture. Would you agree? In the Western world, we value the masculine tools like linear thinking as opposed to circular or creative thinking. We value driving results and productivity as opposed to brainstorming and holding and formulating. We value authority, and community is not as strongly held, although it's getting there. Isn't that interesting, right? So that's what I'm talking about. And there's many more, I think, feminine values. If you have any, let me know what you're thinking. Hi, Gunji, glad you're here. So what do you do about this? If you are interested in having these challenges resolved, I have a solution for you. I am going to be sharing next week in the 3 secrets influential leaders know that overwhelmed managers don't. This is a 90-minute masterclass. We're going to be going over these. We're unpacking this. What does it mean to be a leader who's raising your emotional intelligence, and how do you do that so that you can rise to this next level of leadership and move through to a place that feels like confidence, valued, aware, alive, energetic, all of these things. And you are personally invited. So what you can do is sign up. It's going to be Thursday, July 21st. It's at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. pages.rachelo'mara.com/masterclass. And I'll put that in the chat. Come join us. It's a free masterclass. And this is an opportunity to join me to ask questions, to maybe go through what you're experiencing. And I've got a lot of things to share with you on this, because no one can do it alone. No one can do it alone. And if this message resonates with you, share this opportunity to join me in the masterclass with a woman that you'd want to give that gift to help her rise to her next level of leadership, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. So you and her and your ecosphere can be more confident, calm, and seen. That old saying about we are the 5 closest people that make up ourselves. We are what is that saying? We are what the 5 closest people in our lives are. That is what we are made of, right? Like they most influence us. So if you were to invite someone, then 2 of you can up level yourself. pages.rachelamer.com/masterclass. What else does it mean to be a female leader? And what does it mean? What does it mean to master your EQ as a woman in corporate? I truly believe that this is the time for feminine leadership tools to come to fruition. The world so needs that right now, right? So the best way to do this, I think, is to be yourself, to be fully present to you, and to be aware. That's all emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of your feelings and thoughts and behavior in the moment, so that you can be present and make decisions and do what's needed for you, and also be with others in the moment and respond and create those relationships. Because if you don't know how you're feeling, how can anyone else know what you're feeling, or how would you expect to know how they feel if you're not in touch with yourself? The first step is ourselves. And as a woman in corporate, we're not taught this in general. And I don't think anyone, for that matter, is using the leadership tools that we would consider the feminine valued side as much as they could. But we are the ones who can help with that. We are the ones who can do something different. And it starts with you. It all starts with each and every one of us. It's so easy to point the finger and say, well, this person really needs to work on their creativity because they just want to dictate how it's done and I'm tired of it. Maybe, but the idea is, as a leader in corporate, that's simply projecting out in the world what you're not owning yet. And so the key is to take it back to yourself and say, how can I be in service to this world right now as a person, as a woman in corporate, and do what I need to do. So that's important. Having that ability to stretch into those feminine leadership tools and bring them into your work world every day, right? So we've been taught as women not to show emotion at work. I think if you had a working mom as a kid in the 80s, like I know my mom was a guidance counselor and a teacher, and she wore big shoulder pads every day going into work because that's what this fashion was. So we're trying to, we've all seen the Melanie Griffith movie, what's it, Working Girl. And so now that was us trying to still be masculine, not just because of the shoulder pads, but right, like being strong and doing the things that men are also really good at and known for in the masculine. But also now it's time to be leading in the feminine that is so needed and under resourced now. And to me, the number one skill would be being aware of your feelings and sharing that, because that is a feminine aspect, right? It doesn't mean you have to go share your bleeding heart at work if it is bleeding. That's not what I mean. All I'm saying is to recognize and acknowledge your emotions, allow your team to express, right? That's psychological safety, being safe, feeling like it's an okay space to express. Maybe someone is really frustrated with something that's been going on. Maybe you are, right? So allowing that to be an environment to exist in and to be working in is such a gift. And that hasn't been there in the corporate structure because it wasn't valued. It wasn't okay. The masculine traits were more proficient and bubbled up bigger and more prominent. And now we're seeing this is so needed in our space, whether it's diversity and inclusion or COVID and mental health, you name it, there's so much. All right, so what are we getting out of this? I'm going to wrap this up here. Know that as a woman in corporate, mastering your EQ is absolutely essential to be in the times and the current challenges and struggles of our world now. It means being aware of what's needed on your team or for you when you need to maybe unplug or disconnect from work, or when someone else might need that. Having an honest conversation with someone because you've noticed and you're aware of them not necessarily maybe doing what they can be doing, or maybe you're noticing that they feel a little down, or they're acting like they're shut down or quiet when they wouldn't normally be, right? Mastering your EQ is essential. Oh my gosh, it's so essential. And so the critical path for this is to get support, because no one can do it alone. It's like when we're wanting to do something different, if we're, let's say, I love this example, the fish in the fishbowl, right? There's no existence outside of my fishbowl if I'm a goldfish, but I can swim around in it. But if I wanted to move into another space, like jump out of the fishbowl, I cannot do it by myself. Although maybe as a fish, you might. Okay, maybe that wasn't the best example, but you know what I mean? Yeah. All right. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Yeah. So this is important. This is so important. And then we're not talking enough about it. I think we're starting the conversations. We're getting there. And it's exciting because our world doesn't have this yet, you know, and I know, speaking from my experience working in technology and Google, we were getting there and there's more to go. And other companies are getting there too. I think traditional companies or companies that maybe are smaller, it is a challenge because it's not the norm and it's not something that is easily changed, because that's not the way things have been done, right? The system honors and values all the things that have making it work well, but now we're noticing those things aren't working very well anymore, right? Think about the Great Resignation. As we are at London Heathrow isn't operating at full capacity because it doesn't have the workers needed to get people through security. So they're shutting down the terminals that aren't working as well. We're at all-time highs of stress levels, burning out faster than you can blow out a candle. Okay, and my philosophy is that it's a personal responsibility to raise your EQ as a corporate leader because it's so needed and you can serve in that way. And if you're, and it's possible, you can learn those skills. We can all learn those skills, but no one can do it alone. So where do we go from here? Sign up for my masterclass. It's the 3 secrets to 3 secrets influential leaders know that overwhelmed managers don't. That's a start, right? That's 90 minutes, totally free. You can learn about it and know that there is change ahead for you and for others. If you're a woman in corporate and you're like, how do I do this? We got to talk. I want to hear from you because I can help you. And I know that there is another way for you. So you can book a time with me on my calendar. You can journal about this a little bit, but know that if you're listening to this, if you're here, know that you're probably being called and in some way, shape, or form to raise your emotional intelligence. All right, everyone. Wow, I think I talked a lot there. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and pause and know that you're on your way. And I hope to see you at the masterclass on Thursday, July 21st at 12 o'clock Pacific. Bye for now, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.